It has been a minute. In fact, it's been 6 weeks to the date since my last video. If you watch that video, you know that I had to stop making videos because I had to have surgery, a pretty serious surgery, in order to address an ongoing health problem. And so I've been away. I've been away. Now, in fact, I am still in recovery and I'm not supposed to be working, but I'm feeling strong today. And I wanted to give you an update both on my health and on the future of Cole Red Plays Raid Shadow Legends. So if you are a fan of this channel, if you enjoy the content here, you're definitely going to want to stick around for this one. And if you're just curious about what's been going on with me, I'll fill you in on that as well. I am Cole Red. This is Cole Red Plays Raid Shadow Legends. Although I'm not going to be playing any Raid Shadow Legends, still feels good to say that intro. Let's get started. In today's video, I want to give you a more thorough explanation of what's been going on with me and my health over the past year. Those of you who were viewers of my live streams when I was still doing them may have some of the details, because I did talk about it a little bit more on live streams than I did in videos, but I've never really explained the entire thing thoroughly. So I want to do that just so you understand both what's been going on with me, and it'll give you some context for what happened with the channel over the past year, especially in terms of things like upload frequency, so on and so forth. And then after I do that, we'll talk about the future of the channel. In case that's what you're more interested in, you can just fast forward to the second half of the video. Hopefully the first half won't take too long to explain, but it is a complex story. And I also want to share this information in case any of you end up experiencing anything like this in your lives, so you have a little bit of a firsthand account about, what's gone on with me, and that may help somebody along the line. Maybe not, but there's a chance, and so I do want to share this information. So some of you may know I started experiencing back pain back in August of 2024. Now, at that point, I had pain in my back, and I also had pain in my arm. It was actually my right arm at the time. And so I thought I had hurt my back. And basically, the only thing that could have hurt my back is my son. Now, my son was born in April, and he was a very big boy. He was and remains in the 99th percentile, both in terms of weight and height. So he's a really big boy. And I think carrying him around aggravated an old injury. Now, I've had back injuries and neck injuries in the past. I was an active athlete for years and years and years, and I've had tons of injuries. But I'd never experienced pain like this. I maybe had one or two moments that were more painful than this. But I'd never had pain to this level that didn't go away after a few moments or maybe a day. So this was, on a scale of 1 to 10, like an 8 or a 9, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Couldn't do anything about it. Ice didn't help. Stretching didn't help. Resting didn't help. There was nothing I could do to alleviate the pain. It was basically like my arm was on fire and somebody had hit me in the back with a hammer. That's what it felt like. It felt crippling. Now, obviously, I tried to find doctors right away. I went to a bunch of doctors early in the process. And unfortunately, if you know anything about the healthcare system here in America, you have to jump through a lot of hoops in order to really get treated for your issue, because insurance will only pay for limited testing until you've kind of proven that you're really injured. So what I had to do, I had to start with medication. When the medication didn't do anything, I had to get a prescription for PT. I had to do physical therapy for 12 weeks. Now, the physical therapy and the medication helped a little bit. It kind of dulled the pain down to maybe like a 6 or a 7. So I wasn't at like screaming levels of pain all day long. I was able to sleep a little bit more. And remember, all of this time, I was still trying to take care of my son. Now, at that point in time, my wife was still home, post, like on maternity leave. But she was in recovery as well from that. So I was doing a lot of the childcare, and I really couldn't stop doing that. So I still had to lift my son all the time. Now, eventually in the new year, what happened is after the PT, the pain subsided a little bit, but I was able to get an MRI. So it took a while for them to order an MRI, but they wouldn't MRI my back. They started with my neck. And the reason they started with my neck is because, if you don't know, this is how it was explained to me. You have 3 nerves that come down your arm, right? So one nerve goes into your thumb, one nerve goes into these two fingers and one nerve goes into these two fingers. So these two fingers were the two that were in pain. And then I had pain, through my elbow, in my arm, and up through my shoulder. And all of this pointed to my doctor that I probably had a spinal issue in my neck. Now, I've always had a neck issue, so I'm not surprised. This is an old injury that potentially was re-aggravated by carrying my son. So when we got the results of the MRI back, what it showed was there was a bulging disc that was compressing my spine, and that was pinching a nerve, basically the nerve that went through my arm, and that's what the pain was from. Now, what was interesting is I had to stop PT for a little while it took like a month to get the results from the MRI because it takes a while to get an appointment with the doctor here. And by the end of that time, the pain had returned, but this time it was on my left side. So it migrated from my right arm into my left arm. And it was just as bad and intense as it was before. But I was told that the recovery for the surgery would take a minimum of 12 weeks. Basically, it's 12 weeks for the initial recovery, and then it takes up to a year to fully recover from the surgery. Basically, what they do is they go in, they take the disc out. They actually remove the disc in your spine, and then they put a little spacer in and a plate and screws, and they fuse the bones so that removes the pressure from the spinal column, and then it prevents the neck from injuring itself any further. But if you know anything about this, like I said, it's 12-week recovery. And during those 12 weeks, you can't lift anything more than 10 pounds. In fact, they prefer you not to lift anything more than 5 pounds. Well, my son at that point was already over 20 pounds. And I'm not going to stop picking up my son. When you have a 6-month-old baby, it's incredibly important that you can pick up your child, right? Both for the bonding of it, for the comfort that they need, for putting them to sleep, for caring. They don't walk at that point. He wasn't walking. For just getting them practically from the places, from place to place that they need to be. And so I wasn't willing to have surgery at that point. So I continued on the medications and just kind of managed. And that was basically, I think in January, my wife went back to work. And in February, I was done with the PT and the pain had returned. And so that was basically when you would saw a massive fall off in the videos here on Call Red Plays. So in January, I was pumping them out because I was feeling pretty good. I just finished PT. And by February, the pain had returned in full force. And I couldn't put out more than maybe, between maybe 4 and 8 videos a month. It was really, really bad at that point, especially because I was a full-time stay-at-home dad at that point. So I was trying to do this and that. And if one of them had to give, if I couldn't do one of them, I wasn't doing the videos. I was, of course, focusing on my son. Now, finally, we decided to schedule the surgery for the end of July. It was really the last day of July or so. And the reason we did that is because my niece was willing to come up and visit for 2.5 weeks. So she was going to take care of the baby. So it would allow my wife to keep going to work. My niece could take care of the baby. Then we got a 2-week commitment from my in-laws to take care of the baby for the next 2 weeks. And so that was going to give us a month of coverage. And then my wife was going to take some vacation time at the end of August. And in September, this week, in fact, my son started school. So there's a great program nearby. And the age range is 15 months to 3 years. He's 16 and a half months right now. He just started. So he's one of the youngest kids in his class. I think he is the youngest kid in his class. Of course, he's massive. He's just as tall as the 2-year-olds and the 2.5-year-olds. But he's loving school. He's been going half day for the first week, and now he just started his first full day today. I'm so nervous about him. But he seems to love his teacher. He's got a friend there, Rory, who he's connecting with, and it's such a cool to see him connect with other kids because he really hasn't had that too much. We have 2 friends that we see periodically that have babies, but this is a whole classroom full of 2 and 3-year-olds, and it's just really exciting to see him do that. So with him at school, now the childcare is a lot easier. So my wife and I kind of get him out the door together. I drop him off at school, and then I pick him up from school, and my parents and I kind of just have 2 hours. We have 2 hours that we have to manage him at the end of the day. And then my wife comes home and then she takes him the rest of the way. And so it's been a team effort. My wife's been an absolute champion over the past several weeks because I've been completely out of commission for a month, over a month. But the good news is I'm off of the pain meds. I am now into sort of the period where I'm waiting to get back to my doctor so I can start physical therapy. So I've not been allowed to start physical therapy. Oh, by the way, just in case this is this is the scar. They go in through the front. I don't want to show that off or make you too queasy, but they do go in through the front when they go to the spine. The perhaps less optimistic news is that there are probably more surgeries in my future. We still haven't had the MRI of my mid back, and there's still an injury there that I perceive. This has not improved that situation very much. It has helped my arm a bit. The nerves regenerate slowly, and I've been told it would take a year before we know how much improvement there's going to be. The surgery is not actually intended to heal anything, really. It's intended to prevent the spinal column from being further compressed so that I would lose more function and be in more pain. The pain has reduced a little bit. It's definitely better than it was before the surgery, but some days it's bad, some days it's not so bad. So I'd say on a good day, it's about a 4. On a bad day, it's about a 7. But it doesn't hit those 8 or 9 peaks that it hit before, even without the pain meds. I'm in a better place than I was. I can't do this every day. I can't spend a lot of time in front of the screen every day. But I still can play games for a few hours. And that leads me to, I guess, what's next for the channel, right? What's going on with the channel? So a couple of things. First of all, I've been disconnected from Raid basically since this started. For the first couple of days after the surgery, I tried playing Raid. I tried to continue to play Raid. I bought a little stand I got a recliner to recover in, and I got a stand that held my tablet in front of my recliner so I could just kind of poke at it. Like I'm not allowed to hold anything up like this. I'm not supposed to keep my arms up in front of me because that puts too much pressure on my neck. But I could kind of just poke at it. But after like 2 or 3 days, I was just like, this is too much. I think I was doing a fusion at that point, but I just gave up and I stopped. And being disconnected from Raid basically confirmed for me something that I already knew, which is I don't miss Raid. I don't miss Raid at all. At all, I don't miss Raid. I miss you guys. I do miss making videos. I miss helping people. I miss talking to the community. I miss the other content creators. I do miss all of that aspect of it. But I don't think that is enough anymore to keep me in Raid. I have played this game for over 4 years at this point. And for me personally, just as a gamer, if I wasn't making content, gacha games like this typically have a lifespan of 6 months to 18 months, depending on how good it is and what the concept is for me. So like I've more than doubled my sort of threshold for this kind of game in terms of time limit. So I think I will be eventually stepping away from Raid in the not too distant future. Currently, I'm not sure that I can put a date on it. I kind of have in my mind January 1st, like start the new year with a new project. But I can't say for sure. It might happen before then. It might happen after then. What I would like to do before I step away is 2 things. One is I'd like to share my knowledge. I've learned so much about this game in the 4 years that I've played, and I would really like to encapsulate as much of that knowledge and leave it with the community so I don't feel like I've bailed out and just taken, stolen that knowledge, taken it with me and not helped people out. So what I will likely be doing is a few videos covering some of the major topics that I've covered in the past, but after 4 years of learning not just more about the game, but more about how to make good videos on YouTube, covering things like how to choose your next 6-star, what champions you really want to focus on, how to build your first clan boss team, how to improve in arena, all of those topics, maybe even might do all my boss guides over again and make them really clean and polished and up to date so that new players who are coming in, or even, players who return to the game after a couple of years, have a really good resource, a bunch of videos all in one place from one content creator that they can watch that can help them through those troublesome areas in Raid. I'd like to do that. I don't know if I will get to all of it, but I would like to do that. The second thing I would love to do, actually, the thing that is really exciting, is I'd like to do a few more live streams. I'd like to give away some free takeovers, but I would also like to do paid takeovers. And I think what I'm likely to do is I think I'm going to lower my price, and I'm kind of going to do cheap takeovers just from now until the end of the year. Because I'm not going to be playing my account all that much. I'm not going to play it on a regular basis. I really like being disconnected from the timers of Raid, because one of the things about Raid is the reset has always been 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. And that's like right around dinner time. And being attached to those timers just kind of sucks. I don't like it. And I don't think I'm going to play any more gacha games. Any game that requires me to log in on a daily basis, I will stop playing eventually. And I'm not going to play any more of those. And that includes Raid and all the other gacha games I play. And so I'm not going to be covering Godforge, I don't think, moving forward. I might do a little bit on it because I played it a little bit in the beta and I've enjoyed it, or the alpha, I should say. And I've enjoyed it. And I want to support those guys, but I don't think this channel is going to become a Godforge channel because I think I'm done with gacha games. So what's likely to happen is I will eventually play purchase to win. Not purchase to win, buy to play games. I don't purchase to win. What is that? No, but just games that you can buy and play. That's it. Like, you pay for them once. Maybe they have DLC in the future, or whatever. That's fine. Expansions is fine. But there's so many games that I haven't played over the last 4 years because I've had to put 3 to 5 hours a day into Raid. I just haven't had the time to play these other games. So if somebody said to you, hey, here's 3 hours a day to play games every day, you could play whatever you want. Why would I just stick with one game? Like, now I have the freedom to go and play a whole bunch of other games. Get back to games I haven't played in years. Maybe things like, FIFA or Madden that I used to play in my 20s and I haven't played in 20 years. Or, discover new games like, Dark Souls. I still never played Dark Souls. There's so many games, Souls games, that I'm interested in. Role-playing games, MMOs, strategy games, even platformers. There's the whole thing with Hollow Knight going on right now. And I've never had an opportunity to play a game like that because I've never had the time to play a game like that. So I think that's what's likely going to happen in the future. Again, probably in the new year. But between now and then, knowledge dump and hopefully a lot of takeovers. So if you are interested in a takeover, definitely message me. I can't start right away, but probably sometime in October, I will get to it. So I'd like to have a waiting, not a waiting list, but I'd like to have a list of people who are interested so I could just knock them out. I'd like to do 1 or 2 takeovers a day just for the last couple of months where I am in Raid, and then hopefully use some of those takeovers as videos for, or like as content for those videos where I do all those guides. So I'd like to use your accounts to make those videos. That's what I would like to do. I think that would be fun. I'm going to definitely miss this community. I'm going to miss all of the content creators here. I'm not gone yet, but I want to enjoy my last couple of months here and really do some of the things that maybe, I haven't had the opportunity to do because I've been too focused on like growing a channel and being the best Raid player I could be. But now that I can kind of play it a little bit more casually, have a little bit more fun with it, I'd like to do that. Yeah. Maybe a live stream or 2, like I said. So, okay, so that is it. That's it for me in terms of the health update. That's it in terms of the future of the channel. If you have any questions, feel free to put those in the comments. I don't know if I'll get to answer them in the comments because I don't really want to be typing on my keyboard too much. That is kind of painful for me. But maybe I'll do a follow-up video in a week or 2 and answer some of the questions that I get from today's video. So like I said, if you have any questions, and before I end, I should have said this up front, but I want to thank everybody who sent me well wishes, especially after my last video, whether you posted a comment on that video or sent me a message in Discord. It was very meaningful. It was very positive and helpful and hopeful and supportive. Like, I felt so much support from this community. Some of you had gone through back surgeries, fusions of your own. And so you were letting me know, like, it's going to be hard, but you're going to get through it. And so the very first day I was out of surgery, literally, I just spent like an hour reading through all those comments, and it made me feel so grateful for this community and how positive you guys were, and how much support I got from you. I can't thank you enough. My wife loved it. I loved it. It was really, really nice to come out of surgery and have that be one of the first experiences I had, just kind of, messages popping up every few minutes saying, hey, we're praying for you. We hope you get better, feel better soon. Take your time, focus on that. It's way more important than this. And it was just wonderful to hear. So again, thank you for all of that support. And yeah, I hope to talk to you again soon. So that is it for today's video. Thanks for hanging out. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe because who knows what's going to happen next. But if you are interested in participating in any of those videos that I'm going to do over the next couple of months, then maybe subscribe and definitely hit me up in Discord. All right, that is it for me today. Thanks so much for hanging out. I will hopefully see you in another video in the near future.